This is a simplified retelling of the legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving, thoughtfully adapted for English learners around the world. In this version, we focus on the heart of the story, using clear language and a smooth narration style to help you enjoy classic literature while improving your English. Get ready to enter a mysterious village where legends come alive, and shadows ride at night. Let's begin. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow by Washington Irving. The Legend of Sleepy Hollow is one of the most famous classic horror tales in American literature, written by Washington Irving in 1820. Set in a mysterious little village called Sleepy Hollow, the story tells of a legendary ghost, a headless horseman who roams the countryside at night in search of his missing head. Masterfully blending folk horror and eerie rural charm, Irving created unforgettable characters like the timid and ambitious schoolteacher Ichabod Crane and his bold rival Brom Bones. With his enchanting style, Irving crafted a tale that transcends time, remaining a symbol of early American Gothic literature. In this retelling, we present a fresh interpretation inspired by the original legend, reviving the classic horror in expressive language and deepened character descriptions to draw readers into a chilling world of fog, phantoms, and fear. Here, Ichabod Crane lives anew. Sleepy Hollow grows darker, its mysteries deeper. Every gust of wind becomes a whisper of doom. Under the pale light of the moon, through creeping mist, the legend awakens. In Sleepy Hollow, nothing is what it seems. Fear casts a shadow, and night has a heart that beats with terror. Ichabod's journey begins, and no one knows if he will return. In the remote valleys of New York State, along the banks of the Hudson River, there lies a quiet village known as Sleepy Hollow, a place drenched in a strange, dreamlike stillness. The air felt heavy, as if weighed down by secrets. The trees whispered ancient tales to anyone who dared to listen. The simple folk of the village lived under the spell of this enchanted atmosphere, their lives seeming more like a long dream than reality. They believed deeply in magic and superstition, and among the many legends that thrived there, the most infamous was that of the Headless Horseman, the ghost of a soldier who lost his head during the Revolutionary War. It was said he rode at night on a black steed, searching for his severed head. Some swore they had seen him carrying it beneath his arm, hunting for a new victim. As dawn broke, he would vanish, racing back to his grave. Into this strange world came a man named Ichabod Crane, a schoolteacher hired to educate the village children. Ichabod was a man full of contradictions. He was incredibly tall and extremely thin, almost skeletal in appearance. His nose was long and narrow, and his large protruding eyes gave him a look that was both awkward and amusing. Despite his comic appearance, Ichabod was clever and well-read, particularly drawn to books on witchcraft and the supernatural. He had a tremendous appetite despite his thin frame, and a deep love for scary stories. Each evening he delighted in sitting with the village elders, listening to their ghostly tales. Ichabod was also ambitious. When he met Katrina Van Tassel, the beautiful and pampered daughter of the area's wealthiest farmer, he instantly fell in love. He dreamed of marrying her and inheriting her father's vast fortune. To win her heart, Ichabod tried every means he could. He sang to her, danced clumsily, and flattered her endlessly. But Katrina was not easily won. She had another admirer, Brom Bones, a strong, lively young man known for his boldness and humor. Brom often mocked Ichabod and played tricks on him, always staying just within the limits of mischief without crossing into open conflict. One crisp autumn evening, a grand party was held at the Van Tassel farm. Ichabod was invited, along with many locals. He wore his best, a faded brown coat, short trousers, and long stockings that drooped from his bony legs. His outfit was hopelessly outdated and made him look like a figure from a bygone century. He borrowed an old, half-starved horse from a neighbor. The steed, ironically named Gunpowder, was so skinny that his ribs jutted out like tree branches. Together, they made a strange and laughable pair. Ichabod wobbled atop the horse as he rode toward the celebration, a ghost of a knight riding through the mist. When he arrived at the farm, lanterns glowed warmly, music filled the air, and laughter echoed across the fields. The long wooden tables groaned under roasted turkeys with golden skins, steaming apple pies spiced with cinnamon, and wheels of cheese glowing like the sun. The women wore linen dresses embroidered with red flowers. Silver bells jingled from the men's belts. In the corner, a fiddler played a tune so sweet it seemed to sway the falling leaves in rhythm with the wind. Katrina moved gracefully among the guests, wearing an ornate gown that caught every eye. Ichabod spent the evening feasting, dancing, and trying to charm Katrina with his stories and songs. She glanced at him with amused eyes beneath thick lashes, lowering her head now and then to hide a sly smile. When he sang in his thin voice, she whispered something to her friends that made them cover their mouths to stifle laughter. She didn't care for his strange appearance or modest income, but she enjoyed teasing him with fleeting glances, like a bird toying with a worm before the strike. Ichabod soon noticed that Brom Bones was spending far too much time with Katrina, laughing with her and exchanging knowing looks. Disheartened, Ichabod wandered off to the elder's corner, where the night's scariest tale was being told, that of the Headless Horseman. When the party ended, and Ichabod's hopes had dimmed, he mounted Gunpowder and began the lonely ride home. The night was unusually dark, and the chill in the air seemed to whisper of danger. Darkness closed over the valley like a heavy blanket. The pale moonlight twisted tree branches into grasping arms reaching for the heavens. Ichabod heard hoofbeats behind him, but dared not turn around. A cold sensation slid down his spine, like the fingers of a corpse touching his back. Then came a neigh, not from his horse, but a deep, human-like groan echoing through the gloom. Terrified, Ichabod rode faster. The wind howled. Leaves whispered his name. Crows cawed from unseen perches. Every shadow looked like a ghost. Every sound a cry from the dead. He whipped his head around at every noise. Each time he thought he saw a figure behind him, and urged Gunpowder forward. As he reached a narrow wooden bridge near an old graveyard, something stopped him cold. In the darkness ahead, a figure stood motionless. For a moment, Ichabod tried to convince himself it was only a tree, but as he looked harder, his heart froze. It wasn't a shadow, it wasn't imagination, it was real. A massive horseman on a black steed, and he had no head, just as the legends had warned. The figure was dressed in black like a void in the night. He galloped toward Ichabod, not making a sound, as if gliding over the earth. From his neck oozed a blue mist. and worse. He was holding something round and pale in his hand. The rider, without a head, was real. Ichabod could no longer think, only act. He pulled on the reins, urging the miserable horse beneath him into a frantic gallop. The hooves pounded the dirt road like distant drums of war. Behind him, the Headless Horseman followed in silence, an unnatural silence, more terrifying than any scream. The trees along the road seemed to bend inward, like spectators watching a doomed soul flee from his fate. Branches clawed at Ichabod's sleeves and face, as though the forest itself wished to stop him. "Faster, faster," Ichabod whispered hoarsely, tears of panic streaming from his wide eyes. But no matter how fast he rode, the specter remained behind him, relentless, closing in. At last, the narrow bridge appeared ahead, the one near the old churchyard, the place where legends said the ghost would vanish if it couldn't cross. Salvation, safety. Ichabod kicked the sides of the horse with every ounce of strength he had left. The bridge was only a few paces away. He dared to glance back. The Headless Horseman raised something high into the air. A pumpkin. No, not just any pumpkin. A large, rotting jack-o'-lantern burning from within with a cold blue flame. With a monstrous force, the horseman hurled the flaming head through the night sky. It struck Ichabod square in the face. A flash of fire, a cry lost to the wind, then silence. The next morning, the townsfolk found the bridge empty, save for Ichabod's horse wandering alone nearby, and a shattered pumpkin lying in the dust. Ichabod Crane was never seen in Sleepy Hollow again. Some say he ran away in fear, embarrassed and humiliated, too ashamed to return. Others whisper he was taken that night, spirited away by the ghostly rider to a place beyond this world. As for Katrina, she married Brom Bones not long after. And whenever someone mentioned Ichabod's name in her presence, Brom would only smile, a strange, knowing smile, and change the subject. To this day, on moonlit autumn nights, travelers who dare ride through Sleepy Hollow speak of a shadow on horseback, tall, headless, and silent, waiting among the trees with a jack-o'-lantern in hand, searching still for his lost head, or a new one. So beware, dear reader, if you ever pass through Sleepy Hollow after dark. Some legends never rest.